Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to my garden. It's been ages since I said these words, but nevertheless, I've never stopped gardening. As a matter of fact, last year was filled with quite a lot of fun garden projects. And I just realized that miraculously, even though I haven't uploaded a lot of videos recently, I really gained quite some new followers. So first of all, I really want to say thank you for everybody who decides to subscribe to my channel. I honestly appreciate that a lot. And that is also a big motivation for me to continue with this channel here. Tour you around, share with you some garden projects, some planting projects, some DIY projects, everything which I think is important, interesting on how to develop a garden or, well, this garden here. And I want to kick off this season with a little garden tour. Alfi is with me, as you can see. Still very cute. She just had the heat for 3 weeks, but we're over it now. So everything is good and back to normal. So she's definitely gonna enjoy a little run and play in the garden with us today. We are in late winter, but honestly, it kind of feels like spring today. Sun is out, clear blue skies. It feels beautiful. So I hope that you will enjoy this little tour and update video that I will do. So come and join me in the garden. I want to start today's garden video in the front garden. Here to the left there is a street, which means that every now and then you might hear a car, so apologies for that. And to the right there is the house. So this is where you can step into the front garden. And first glance, nothing really big has happened here. There's still to the left the ornamental plum tree, which is going to be smothered in beautiful blush pink flowers very soon to come. I've already started cutting back here, so the willow is already cut back, and I've taken out quite some of the height because it was really difficult to balance on the top of the ladder every year, so I really tried to make it easier for myself. One of the things that you can see is that I came in and the borders look already pretty tidy here. So a low strip back, and that reveals the first spring bloom here in the front garden too. There's more in the back to come. So there are the iris, which I really love. I really just enjoy this first pop of colors here. I've introduced some new plants to this area. For example, another variety of euphorbia with a yellow and green leaf variegation. In general, the front garden focuses on color of like sulfur yellow, lime yellow, so really cold yellow tones together with purple, bluish tones, which is complementary, and I think it works fairly well. There are some hints of white here. For example, there is this hibiscus that I just planted. This is chiffon white. I hope it overwintered, but it looked pretty well. This winter was fairly mild here, to be honest. So I'm very optimistic that this one definitely made it through winter. Not a lot happened here, to be honest. Everything is almost same. A lot of you asked how the ornamental cherry tree is, and it is still there. It still lives. But I'm saying still because I'm not sure where the journey of this is going to take me. It suffers really bad from cherry wilt every year. Now at this time of the year, it looks pretty good, to be honest. And you can see if we go closer that there are a lot of buds. It's going to bloom. It's going to be very beautiful. But straight after the bloom, what happens quite often, the mature branches die back. And this is, sorry for the car, this is really sad because it doesn't really grow in height that much. I think this last year was very good for it, but before, whenever there was a nice mature branch, which was like maybe 3-4 years old, it was affected by the cherry wilt, and then I had to take it out. So I'm really not sure how to move forward with it. Potentially I will take it out, which is a little sad in a way, but I have 2 ideas which might happen. I'm not going to do anything this year, but maybe this is going to happen next year. Here you can see that something big has happened already because the flower bed on the left ended pretty much where you see this little pillow of, well, now brown foliage. This is epimedium. I have to still cut those back. They were green just 2 weeks ago, but now they're done with that. So it kind of like edged out here, and that was just, well, lawn. It was green. It was mainly moss and some weeds, and then there was a hedge. So what we did is removed the turf and connected the 2 flower beds, which I think is really nice. We've also taken this flower bed out a little bit, and by doing so we created this path here which connects the front garden with like the side garden, which is still the front garden, to the back of a garden. And what is beautiful, this is straight west facing. So in summertime and also in late autumn, the sun comes through there and fills this area in the late afternoon or evening with light, and it creates very beautiful magical moments here. On the right, there's one of my favorite winter structures. This is another euphorbia, which really reached a wonderful height now. Can you tell? It's over 1 meter in height. I think it's very beautiful. It's going to come to bloom very soon. And this is one of the plants that I try to place in different areas here in the front garden. In the back on the right, you see another clump. So I'm very, very happy with that. When I planted it first, it was a little iffy if it's going to survive here because I'm at the south coast of the Baltic Sea in a zone 7B, but it is south facing and at the house, and it's really happy. Here you can already see my next planting project because it is still in a container. I want to plant a witch hazel here. And I think that this will be the perfect location for it, because if I swing to the right again, there you see two windows. The one on the left is the kitchen, the one on the right is where the dinner table is. Everything is an open floor concept downstairs. So from those windows, I'll have a straight view onto that witch hazel, and I think moving forward this is just really nice and will bring a lot of joy when everything is kind of like grey and grim during winter, and then suddenly you have these blooms. This is a variety that flowers fairly late, which I think will be good here for my climate zone, because if they come to bloom too early, sometimes we can have a deep harsh frost and then that's it with the blooms. But here you can tell we had a light frost. It is still in the container and it looks fantastic. I kept the label on for you. It is a variety called, where is it here? Arnold Promise. Very beautiful, bright lemon yellow flowers. Not sulfur definitely, but really nice lemon yellow. They look a little bit more sulfury on the video screen now when I look at it to what they are in reality. But still, I think with a hedge as a backdrop, this is really wonderful. Whenever you put bright colors in front of a hedge, they seem to pop even more. One thing which is really beautiful here is a Paulownia tree, or the Empress tree. That, oh look what Alfi is doing. I'm sorry, I just have to swing over. I'm not sure what she sees there. She's kind of like staring at the Robinia tree. Well, whatever it is. She might have spotted something. Anyways, back to the Empress tree. That one is maybe, I think, 13, at most 14 years old now. And you can tell it is growing fast. You mainly grow this for the flowers. On top you see all of these flower buds already. They're comparable to foxgloves, but they flower in a really delicate pale violet. So I absolutely love it, especially from the up windows here when you're on those rooms. It almost feels like you are sitting in the flowers of that tree. So I'm very, very happy with that. It has pretty huge leaves, kind of comparable to catalpa tree. And it doesn't have a wonderful autumn foliage, but still the flowers and that it's growing fast is really nice. And I have offspring. First time ever it was self-seeding, and I already know where this is going to go. I'm going to tell you in a moment. Here you already see something brown, and the misery has started as we continue walking to the back of our garden. Alfie's just taking a wee in front of a camera. Wasn't that lovely? So the boxwoods, well, they are basically dead as a doornail. Last year in summer, I was gone for 3 weeks. I was in Germany visiting my dad. I was in France for a holiday. And when I came back, this is what happened. They had box blight and they had the caterpillar, and there's nothing left. What I have to do is I have to dig them, and you either put them in your wheelie bin or you burn them. Whatever you do, don't put this on the compost, because it is a fungal disease, and if you put it in the compost, going to spread it everywhere in the garden at one point, and this is really what I don't want to happen. So I will put them into bags and then off they go. Here you see my shadow. I've planted some new things. For example, here there is a viburnum, where you can't see a lot yet. I basically bought it because it had fire engine red autumn foliage and I really loved it. So I just planted it last autumn. I also reworked a little bit this little strip next to the driveway here. There were two Miscanthus giganteum, very tall, 3 meters or even taller, but they are monsters and beasts, and they didn't know the boundaries. They even tried to grow into the driveway, and at one point I was like, you know what, I'm done with it. It's also really exhausting to cut them back. So I've taken both out, and I just planted some different things. So there's some asters. I planted two buddleias, African Queen. They are dark purple, and you can tell they're already coming back to life. So I'm really happy about that. I planted some Japanese anemones. I planted another viburnum here, which I have to prune it. Normally I don't like to prune shrubs that much, but especially if they're shrubs that shouldn't be pruned, but here there is a hatch in the back. So I have to prune it in a way that it kind of grows a little bit more outwards rather than into the hatch. Then there is another buddleia, and I replaced the big miscanthus with a smaller variety. This is, you can't see anything now, but here will be droning Ingrid, which again has like quite nice crimson red autumn foliage. Here you see another planting project just standing here. Cyclamen coum, I love them. Aren't these just beautiful? Soft pink delicate flowers. I also love the leaf variegation. So I have a little planting project. I already know where they're bound to go. And Cyclamen coum really likes it here, and they're even spreading. I can show you one area where they definitely feel very much at home, just as an underplanting for this dwarf lilac, which is not so much a dwarf to be honest. But here I started with, I think, 5 plants, and they start spreading out everywhere. You see tiny leaves here. So they are already spreading. They sit in the family of primulas. They have little tubers in the ground, and everything which forms a tuber normally feels very much at home here because I have very well drained soil. It is not clayey, it is more on the sandy side. Some patches are funny, some patches can be almost like concrete in summer. So there are areas when sometimes I work in some leaf mold, but in general, everything which is a bulb, especially tulips, hyacinths, love it here. Garden shed, nothing has changed there. Everything looks very much familiar to you, I would say. I haven't done a lot of planting here. I haven't changed a lot here. Some of the shrubs are growing really well underneath the walnut trees. So, for example, another dwarf lilac here. Panicum grasses, love it close to the walnut tree. Also, Nepeta is very happy growing here. So there are a lot of people always say that walnut trees and underplanting walnut trees is difficult, and I would say it can be, but if you choose the right plants, it can be very easy too. Here you see my joy of the season, just a small clump. You're going to see a way bigger clump later on. Beautiful snowdrops and one single crocus. I really don't know how that came there because I never planted it, but obviously I love it. I'm going to keep it there. Snowdrops are just so happy, especially when you cut everything back and then you see all these new fresh green shoots here from the grasses. This is a Calamagrostis, and then the snowdrops. I mulched a little bit so everything looks very nice, crisp in a way, and ready for the new season to come. Always one of my favorite moments of the year. One hellebore, actually I have a lot more there, but this is the one that seems to be very, very happy. Let's go a little closer. Well, at least that one white one kind of came back. I cut it back, the entire island back. I started cutting back here on the left too. Hydrangeas are looking pretty good here in the back. As you can tell, those are strong Annabelle from Proven Winners. Then I have roses here, and this is where it stops, so I have to continue cutting back everything here. But to be honest, considering the time of the year, I think everything is still looking fairly all right and not too shabby. Especially the Panacetum grasses, I think, give a fantastic structure. They come back to life fairly late. This is the only downside, I would say, with them, but throughout summer they're glorious, and in winter they are wonderful because they're kind of bright. And even when it's dark outside and there's snow, for example, they brighten up everything and it looks very whimsical and nice. I have this really beautiful rocking chair there, which I love, especially in summer, because you sit here in amongst this entire planting with asters, with a persicaria. It's just an area that is filled with joy for me. In the back here, there are some more hellebores. You know what I'm going to do? Boof, go closer like that. How about that? So I don't have to step in there. They're just happy little plants, aren't they? This area in general, I'm not sure. I have to find good underplanting for the tree here. The asters are happy. This is Schöne von Dietlikon. This is an old German variety, which is in a very nice, strong purple, so I highly recommend that. This is Panacetum redhead, also very nice. Then I have Persicaria JS Kala, which is one of my favorite. Calamagrostis grasses, Calfursta, upright, beautiful. In the front here, I'll see them and they will be replaced because I tried it. Every single year they get a weird kind of fungal disease here. The leaves look shabby like from mid-July onwards, and then they don't even come to flower really. So I will replace them, sadly, but this is what it is. In the back there, I planted some hydrangeas. They used to be Helenium. forgot the name now, hot chili I think was. It just didn't work with a color concept because it was a rusty red and everything else was like purple and cherry red, and then you had this like rust red color in there which just looked off. Sometimes off can be good, but this was just off. So I put some hydrangeas there. Strawberry ice, if I'm not wrong. They flower nice. I mean, they're still very young, so let's see how they're going to develop, but they have huge flower heads. I mean, look at that. Absolutely fantastic. I'm going to improve the soil here a little bit because there's again Schönefunditli aster, but it doesn't want to grow to such a nice height, and it definitely has to do with the soil because I put it in a brand new area of a garden where it reached a fantastic height. So yes, I finally developed this entire area here. So let me just walk you through from the beginning so you have a better understanding on what has happened and what I want to do. Here the hedges, dead. Dead, horrible. If we move on, there's still a little bit green on the back, but I think I will remove pretty much all of them. And this vegetable garden will completely move onto the back of a garden, to the terrace garden, because there were so many slugs and snails. So you have an entire bed with wonderful strawberries, and I haven't harvested a single one last year. They're the raspberries. I'm going to keep them there. I'm going to keep obviously the black currancy because I think they look quite nice. They smell very good too. I love the smell of the foliage alone. And then I have blueberries here where I also think in a shrub they're nice, and they have really wonderful crimson red autumn foliage. So just for that, they're going to stay here. But the raised beds are going to move and the hedges are going to be taken out. So this entire planting area will be even bigger. 2 years ago, there was nothing here on the right. There was a hedge, there was the kitchen garden, or the vegetable garden, and then there were these like really tall miscanthus grass you can see on the back, the birch on the right, and then just a yew hedge, and that was it. Anything else was just green weed. There was not even lawn. Lawn was always difficult to grow there. I didn't really want it to, and I anyways wanted to take it out, and I think this entire back of a garden feels completed now. It's very cohesive also with the choice of plants, because whatever plants I have on the left, I've taken them all the way over to the right. So if you walk through the garden, there is sort of a unity. I have some other new plants here on the right too, but some of my focal plants always stay the same. Like Nepeta, the same kind of asters, Japanese bloodgrass, the sedum, which weren't fantastic here either. I think I'm going to keep them here and see if this year will be better, and if it won't, then therefore the chop too. Here on the right, I have a new variety of an aster. This is a Japanese aster called Ezo Murasaki, which is really beautiful. Here on the right, there are two shrubs. This is a burning bush. I did not come up with that name. That always gives me a giggle, to be honest. Eonymus altus, this is Little Moses Odem. And then still two Panacetum grasses, they are for the chop. But in general, I think, considering that everything was brand new last year, things really reached a wonderful height fairly fast. Here, this is still, well, just soil. I want to put basalt there, I think, some kind of gravel or basalt to cover the entire area, the pathway and the seating area. I'm not sure if I can do it this year. Hopefully this year, maybe later on. I have to see, like really financially, because some things are just like happening right now. But if it doesn't happen this year, then I'm definitely going to do it next year. I mean, I've lived through this for 1 year, so I can still do it for another. The miscanthus grasses are for the chop, at least the very tall ones, because this is again giganteum, and I'm already not looking forward to cleaning this area. Just cutting back these and cleaning everything, which is the entire debris which is still on the ground, is going to take me at least, I would say, 2 hours probably. And at one point I also don't know how to compost them anymore. It's really difficult because it's so much mass that they produce and it breaks down really slowly. So I'm going to focus on easy miscanthus varieties, and they will be for the chop. Also the hedge in the back, which you can't see at all right now, has grown to really nice substantial height and width. I think the yew plants look fantastic, and I really feel like it's time to give them the space that they need so that they really have air to breathe and get the sun throughout the year. I've continued with a hedge here. I've also put a little fence there because of the neighbor. He has a car workshop there, and it's not really nice when you're in the back of a garden and you're surrounded by beautiful blooms and then you see, well, a car workshop there. a lot of it looks a little shabby now, let's face it here. I mean, like there was red amaranth, which is one of my favorite annuals, but it doesn't really look great right now. Some roses are here. If we continue walking on the left, there are hydrangeas. There's my potting bench, which is fairly new. I have it now for 1.5 years, I believe. I really use it. I think it's very beautiful. It's very nice to work here too. In the back, you see some of miscanthus grass, which are going to stay, veronicastrum. And then if we move forward here on the right, there is a pear tree. And now we are entering one of my favorite little corners during winter, because this is really my winter interest corner. And when I come in here with my secateurs and strip everything back, I can finally see everything even better from a distance. So we have, let me just gently try to step in here now, some corners. This is midwinter fire, and I just love it for the color. It's so vibrant. It has a wonderful ombre effect from a peachy orange tone all the way up into fire engine red, really flashy. And then I've underplanted them with big clumps of snowdrops. So pretty. I mean, snowdrops just make me very, very happy each and every single year. And I think that they are just a perfect little plant combination. What you can tell is there's still these metal poles in the back, but the fence is gone. I've had it with the fence, I've taken it down, and I think it is so much nicer because this like boundary where the upper garden ends and then the terrace garden starts, just gone, disappeared. And I think the connection is just better. It flows nicer. I still have to somehow try take down the metal poles. My dad already said that he would want to help me with that, which I really appreciate because I know that I won't be good at it. But I really love the idea of taking that down. If we continue walking here, not a lot has happened here, but one thing I've planted, actually two. This is another burning bush, but as a standard. And this is fantastic in autumn. I haven't never really seen them before as a standard. And then I planted it, well, pretty much 2 years ago during autumn time. And each and every autumn, it is just a firework of color here in the back of the garden. It is slow growing, but it's definitely worth it. What you can tell is I've remodeled the compost area. I'm so happy with that. That was one of my projects for last autumn. Still there's some stuff standing there, but I mean, bit by bit, baby steps. So this is my leaf compost. Here are only leaves on. Then here on the left, this is a mixed compost. There are leaves on that too, because I think leaves always give a compost a really nice lofty texture. Some wood is still here, some pellets, and some leaf compost that I'm going to use in a planting project. I'm so happy that I still have it. Let's just go closer because it's really wonderful. Very, here we go. Just look at that. It smells good. It is lofty. It's crumbly. This is really beautiful, fresh compost that I have here. The way on how I use these, okay, so one is still has to be painted, but I put these wooden boards at the front, so there are 2 poles and then the boards are like squeezed in between. I saw that on Gardener's World, to be honest. Like, I've never seen that in Germany before, but then on Gardener's World, and I thought that is so smart because nothing can fall out, and then you can really just like put as many boards there as you wanted to. I put some cuttings here also from I don't really know, some perennial, something I put there, some grass too. Later on in the year, I'm going to come in and just like tip it over a little bit. And I think within 1.5 years normally, this is almost ready and fresh and nice compost. Now that there's no fence anymore, that also opened the area here so I can walk through here. One of the projects I'm doing right now is there is a dead hedge that goes all the way around here. And what I do is I try to mask it a little bit. So I'm collecting driftwood from the riverbank, sometimes also from the beach, and just take a little bit always with me and put it here, especially from the back. You will see it in a moment. And I think it just makes the dead hedge look pretty nice. It's more like an object in a way. Well, object sounds like art. It's definitely no art, but I think you get the point. So let's just walk onto the terrace garden. Quite a few things have happened there too. So if we still go the way that I always used to walk, one thing that you can tell is that there is a deck here. So I've built this really nice sturdy deck we can all step on. So Alfi now has a little watch out here. So she really loves to sit here and just observes what is happening. Sometimes I'm really not sure what she sees because right now I can't see a thing, but she's very much intrigued about something. If we swing to the right, let's start here. The raised beds are still there. The first one is for herbs. So I already have some chives in here. I'm going to fill it up with more soil and then I'm going to start some sowing. Then here, this is my little seed table where I put all of my seedlings first. Right now they moved over there into the third raised bed, and the second raised bed was empty one year, but I think I'm going to lift it up here, and the shrub which is there is going to go into the old kitchen garden because I think that this is a really nice area for it. Other than that, it looks a little bit rubbly here. I really have to come in and tidy. So I haven't staged anything for the video. I'm really walking you through just the way the garden is right now. One thing for everybody who follows me for a while might eventually see something changed here, because before these were 3 terraces. There was 1, 2, and the third, and now it's 1 more. So what happened last winter is that the last terrace and the second last terrace, they both started to shift because it was extraordinarily wet and the entire structure wasn't holding it anymore. So I came in now and made the steps a little bit less steep. So I have more, but it worked pretty well, I have to say, and I'm quite happy that I did it. It was a lot of work. I already put some wooden boards here on the top. You can see my shadow now. It looks really weird. Kind of look really big too, but I think in general it was a good idea. It was funny to work with at first because initially I had like this terrace here which was giant huge, which is not giant huge anymore. But what I already did is I started laying out with some cutting back from grasses, so some hay or straw in a way. Then the second bed is already planted up with strawberries. I did it literally just yesterday. The first bed, there'll be my potatoes, so they're already sprouting on my windowsill. And then I'm going to put 2 more raised beds, 1 or 2 more there. The structure which is down there, which I built for my runner beans, this is going to go up there too. And then 1 or 2 more raised beds are going to go onto the third terrace and the fourth terrace where you see the straw. This one I'm going to grow pumpkins, and in the back some dahlias. I'm going to also mix in some cut flowers in there. The empress tree, the offspring that I have, that is going to go, well, now I come with my finger, very professional, there. Because I try to hide this and especially that beautiful new thing there in the back. It could be worse, so I don't want to complain. Luckily, it's kind of in an area where from the upper garden I'm not really going to see it because most of the trees are going to hide it during summertime. And if I swing back a little bit, there is a hedge here. So normally I cut it back to the height of the fence, which I'm not going to do now. I want that it grows a little bit taller still, because then that can hide that, is it a barn, is it a stable, what is it? I don't really know. Big, massive, huge tent garage, whatever it is, the tunnel, polytunnel, so that can hide it fairly well. And then I'm going to have the Polonia tree there, which is going to be really beautiful, I think, not just to hide things, but if it's a little lower, at one point when I'm standing here and gardening and doing my potting stuff, I can look straight into those beautiful flowers when it comes to bloom, which is really nice. Hello, Alfi, you having a good time? Yep, you do, right? Not excuse me. Not a lot has happened here. Things are just growing in and looking really beautiful. That was very wonky now. So here there is a Catinus variety is called Grace, and that has picked up a lot of growth in the past year. I'm trying to walk down now with you, so that will be very wonky probably. Okay, let's do it. You can tell that the biggest parts of the terrace garden here I have mantled with wood, and that was a game changer. I think it looks so much nicer and more neat now, especially when you look at it from this angle here. And my project landfill is in full swing. So this last layer in between the dead hedge on the right and the terrace on the left wasn't really planted with a lot of things, and most of the things that I planted didn't really thrive because it was just too shady in a way. It just didn't really work, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to put as many of my cuttings, the cutbacks from the perennials, the grasses, everything in here, and then I fill it with soil. I've already done it in the back, so that this will be one big last terrace in between the dead hedge and the existing bit here. And I think it's going to be nice because it's going to be very wide, so the impact, I think, will be really nice and way bigger. What I did too is I have a little gate here now because sometimes the deer decided to pay a visit. So let's open it now and walk in here. through the last bit of a garden. So what we have here to the right, this is a new planting area that I started last year. I have some hydrangeas. This is pink Annabelle. I was very happy with them. Beautiful blush colour. Yeah, just a wonderful impact, and I think that they are sturdier than the white Annabelle in my experience, because the flower heads are smaller and they don't tend to flop over, like nothing flopped over here, so very happy with those. I planted some summer tamarisk there. In the back there's a compost heap, by the way, which I'm going to change eventually to in the near future. And then this year I'm going to put a lot new fun things in here, so more to come. Some more buddleia here. Last year I really developed my love for buddleia, as you might have realized. I put a lot of tulips in here, especially here in the back. This is an area which will be more of a cut flower garden. It started last year. Last year was a horrible year with slugs and snails, so I'm hoping this year will be a little bit better. There was a lot of Verbena bonariensis in there, and which had a wonderful impact. It was very, very impressive, to be honest. But most of the cut flowers that I had or that survived, couldn't really see them anymore. Here, this is a rose that I took from cuttings from one of my walks along the riverbanks. It has, I don't know the color of the blooms, to be honest. I just took the cuttings because it had really small, wonderful rose hips, and I thought, oh, they were so beautiful for autumn arrangements. And this is exactly why I took the cuttings. They fruited in, they look fantastic. I think this year they're gonna bloom, so I'm really excited about those. Then here, all the way along there, this is where I planted roses, different kind of roses, David Austin, also some German from Tantau, which is a pretty famous German rose breeder. And then you see tulips poking through everywhere. So I also planted some tulips, different blend, pink, blush, white, a little purple-esque. And I really want to use them as cut flowers. Up here, you see a lot of bearded iris. These are actually offspring from my own crossbreeding. So I started crossbreeding bearded iris, and I hope that this year I'm going to see some bloom with these. And really, it's such an exciting experiment, so no idea what's going to happen. I planted another tree here, very, very small still. So let's see if it survived winter, if it's going to grow in. This is a birch. It's called Royal Frost. It has pretty dark maroon color foliage, and just because of that I really love it. The roses look fantastic though. I have Queen of Sweden, I have Desdemona, I have Lady of Charlotte, an orange one, which is quite interesting for me because orange is not one of my favorite colors normally. I had a peach tree here which looked good in the first years, and then last year it's done for it. Just what you see here, I think just a quarter is still alive, all the rest is just dead. So I think I'm gonna take it out. It was an experiment, it didn't work. Which work really nice though are my cherries here. So last year they fruited very fantastic, and I could harvest. What you can tell too is that the neighbor let down all of his shrubs here, which I think is really sad because he's not going to do anything with that. It's just going to stay the way it is. And before, at least, there were hazels, there was hawthorn, there was elderberry. Yeah, all those natural shrubs here. It's really, really nice. Nothing. But okay, that's what it is. You can't really change anything about it though. Here, this is an area which I already prepared for cut flowers, some more of my bearded iris, the offspring. And if we now quickly move to the back, you will see I haven't cut back anything here. I was so lazy in this area. You have to start somewhere. The elders are not looking very well. I have to say this one here, I'm not sure. I think this, I'm not sure if I can't do everything at 1 year, but I think I'm going to replace this one and the next one too. The next one looks as if it had a beautiful growing habit and as if it would perform just really wonderful. It kind of looks nice for 2-3 months and then it just fizzles out, and for the rest of the year, it honestly looks beyond shabby. So I think that I'm going to take it out and just plant something totally different here. Some more shrubs, so I have a little more winter interest here. Some more of the same corners, midwinter fire. And then I just want to show you something that I bought last year for myself as a birthday gift. This little standard here is another hibiscus. It's pink flowering. And this is the variety Flodgy, I guess, pink giant. Had such beautiful blooms. I really have a love affair with hibiscus, and I think it's really going to grow quite beautifully here. And then let's just walk all the way to the last bit of a garden. Some hyacinth are coming through, so I can cut some nice pink hyacinth, and then from here you really get to see everything again. And that's it basically. This is how the garden looks at this time of the year. Already some first blobs of color. I'm going to plant some new color so that the next years will be filled with even more. So really getting more and more winter interest into the garden is one of my big projects. The garden really comes to life in autumn. It's really an autumnal garden because this is my favorite garden season, I would say. But still, I think considering the time of the year, a lot of it is still looking fairly nice. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little garden tour, even though I know there isn't too much to look at, but I really wanted to share with you all of those updates that happened to the garden and what I did here in the past year. And I think it's also a wonderful way on how to start this new season. So really a lot to look forward to. Thank you so much for giving me a thumbs up for this video. Thank you if you decide to subscribe to my channel. And Alfi and I, right? Yes. Really looking forward to welcoming you very soon again here in our garden. So take care. Bye.